Now we're asking Trump to not forget about us. So now we're asking Trump to not cut the social services that we need, right? All that people that voted for Trump, all that people that supported him, all that people that asked him to run the country like a business are now asking Trump to not cut their social services that they depend on. But you wanted him to run it like a business, right? But a business doesn't have social services. A business doesn't have welfare. A business doesn't have food stamps. A business doesn't have WIC. You know why? Because it's all for profit. And that's who you put in the White House. A guy who wants to make everything for profit. You think that Dutch thing between Elon Musk and dumbass Ramaswamy or whatever, they care about your social services? What do you think is the biggest expense in the government that doesn't reflect a profit? Because it's not a tangible profit in the immediate future like they wanted. It's social services. And you know what they need to cut? Social services. And you know who he put in charge of Medicare and Medicaid services? Dr. Oz, a guy who's been saying for years that it needs to be privatized. So yes, your social services are going to be affected. And now you're begging Trump to look back at you and say, oh, they put me in office. Do you think he cares? You think he cares a little bit about it? One of the quotes I read said something like, we help put you in office. Don't cut the services that we need, that we live, or livelihood, or whatever. He will, because you gave him the mandate. He told you he was going to run this as a company. He told you he was going to cut federal spending. And you didn't dig any deeper. You simply took his word and voted for him. Now you're going to suffer. And so am I, and so is everybody else. Because as a country, we made a stupid decision. And we put a guy, a billionaire who can go bankrupt 7 times and still have money. A billionaire that is so humble and thinks about the poor people so much that he has golden fucking toilets. And is friends with Elon Musk, the other billionaire who buys a company and fires 60% of the workforce. The same guy that you heard on a recording laughing at unions and workers. And saying that it was easier to fire you than to deal with you if you complain about it.
The growing influence of billionaires like Elon Musk and Donald Trump over the US government is a direct threat to the country's most vulnerable populations. With Trump's administration packed with multimillionaires and billionaires who see governance through the lens of profit making, the message is clear. Services essential to the poorest in society like healthcare and welfare are at the risk of being decimated. TikToker Ranting Dad Life recently broke it down perfectly. Trump supporters, many of whom relied on social services, are now begging him not to cut the very safety nets they depend on. But they should have seen this coming. Trump openly promised to run the government like a business, and as the TikToker pointed out, business does not provide food stamps, Medicare, or social services. Businesses exist to make profits, and Trump's appointees, like a Medicare chief who has long advocated for privatisation, are primed to dismantle the systems that millions depend on to survive. The comparison to Elon Musk is just as stark. Musk's history of union busting, mass layoffs and disdain for workers' rights paints a chilling picture of what the future could hold. Together, Musk and Trump represent a shift towards prioritising the ultra-wealthy at the expense of everyone else, with their policies aimed at funneling more wealth into private hands whilst leaving ordinary people to suffer. This isn't just an American problem, it mirrors the same strategies we've seen elsewhere. Like Brexit, where promises of better futures were made by leaders who would never feel the brunt of their own policies, in the US it's the poorest, the sickest and the most vulnerable who will bear the consequences. As the government slashes its most expensive and essential services, people will lose access to food, Medicare and the basic survival resources, and some will lose their lives. But Trump and Musk do not care about these people. Their goal is simple: cut taxes for the rich and privatise everything, all whilst blaming immigrants and minorities to distract from the harm that their policies are causing. They'll sell it as a necessary and good for the country and the economy, leaning on media allies to convince the public that this is the only path forward. We've heard these arguments before and we know how they end, in suffering and inequality. It's up to the American people to recognise what's happening and push back before it's too late. Unfortunately, many are already struggling, misled into believing that Trump's leadership was the solution. Now, as things spiral out of control, it's clear that the reality is far grimmer than they ever imagined. But let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.